Mordor is loud, the ring is louder, and somewhere between them sits a single sentence that the films make feel final. None of us can wield it. But Tolkien's world is allergic to clean absolutes. In the book, the danger is not that the ring is unusable. The danger is that it is usable by the exact people you would trust most, and that trust becomes the first ingredient in a new tyranny. Tonight we are not doing a power scaling tier list. We are opening Tolkien's safe, stepping into letter 246, and asking the question the council was trying to bury with good manners. If someone like Aragorn, Gandalf, Galadriel, or Elrond took the one, what would victory even mean? We will separate wearing from wielding, follow the temptation as it changes shape, and watch how one circle turns heroism into policy. Spoiler, it usually means management with a crown. Aragorn says it like a door being shut. You cannot wield it. None of us can. The One Ring answers to Sauron alone. It has no other master. It is a clean sentence, built for a score swell and a hard cut to mountains. In the cinema, it works because the Fellowship needs a rule that fits in one breath. In Tolkien, rules rarely fit in one breath. They fit in consequences. Because the books, and Tolkien's own letters, do not teach nobody can wield the ring. They teach something worse and more interesting. Some people could wield it, and that is exactly why it must be destroyed. The ring is not a cursed trinket that only fools can touch. It is a crown, and crowns are most dangerous in the hands of those who genuinely believe they were born to wear them. So when we ask, what if another could wield the One Ring? We are not asking, could someone put it on? We are asking, could someone claim it, bend it, and use it to rule? That question has real answers in canon. It also has a long tail of theories where someone types, Aragorn would be fine, and then Tolkien appears like an unpaid moderator. To keep this from turning into fan fiction free jazz, we anchor the word wield to Tolkien's framing. Wearing the ring is the shallow end. You slip partly into the unseen, you get the shadow version of invisibility, and you start accruing a debt to something that does not do refunds. Wielding is the deep end. Wielding is when you claim it and use it as a weapon of command. That distinction is why Frodo can carry it without instantly becoming a tyrant, yet still ends at the cracks of doom saying, "The ring is mine." Carrying breaks him. Claiming reveals what the ring was waiting for. The moment you stop being a courier and try to be a king. At the council, the wise put it in an ethic so blunt it feels like physics. We cannot use the ruling ring. Not because it is impossible, because it is effective. It takes your best reason and turns it into your best excuse. Letter 246. Tolkien opens the safe. There is a Tolkien letter that functions like a skeleton key for this topic. Tolkien is discussing counterfactuals. What if Frodo claimed the ring? What if a claimant tried to use it? What if Sauron came in person? He argues that, in a direct confrontation with Sauron, the outcome is basically fixed. The result was inevitable, because Sauron's being is tied to the ring's power, and the ring's allegiance is not a debate you win with good posture. Then he drops the line that detonates 1,000 heroic fantasies. Of mortals no one, not even Aragorn. That is Tolkien saying, if Sauron comes in person, mortals do not win the final contest of mastery. But Tolkien also quietly breaks the film's absolutism. He adds, of the others, only Gandalf might be expected to master him. So yes, in principle, the ring is wieldable at the highest level. Tolkien is not allergic to the idea. He simply hates what the idea costs, because he then writes the warning in the most chilling way possible. If Gandalf became a ring lord, he would be far worse than Sauron. not because he would rule with ugliness, because he would rule for good. And good enforced by domination is a blade that never stops cutting. So the spine becomes clear. The ring is not unwieldable, it is unsurvivable. Some can grasp it, some can use it. The price is that you do not stay yourself long enough to enjoy the victory. Aragorn is the ironic heart of this question, because the films make him the man who says, "None of us can," yet the books give him the stature that makes the ring's temptation plausible. He is the heir of Isildur, trained to be a king who refuses shortcuts, which means he is exactly the kind of person the ring would approach with a smile that looks like duty. The ring does not tempt Aragorn with party tricks. It tempts him with restoration. End the war quickly. Save your people. Claim your throne with certainty. Build a world that does not wobble. It whispers, "You can do what Isildur could not, and you can do it cleanly." Here is the irony the brief is reaching for. Aragorn could be a ring lord. He could claim the ring, wield enough of it to dominate wills, bend nations, and win battles at speed. But Tolkien draws a hard line at the final showdown. In Sauron's presence, mortals do not win, not even Aragorn. So Aragorn is one of them, not as a triumphant loophole, but as a tragedy with a crown on. If Aragorn takes the ring, he does not instantly become a cartoon villain. The ring does not need you to become evil today. It only needs you to become certain today. Once you decide your outcome must happen, the ring starts helping. Aragorn claims it at a moment of crisis, and suddenly the West stops arguing with itself. The Dunedain rally like iron filings to a magnet. Gondor's captains obey without hesitation. Allies fall into alignment, because the ring is designed to dominate other wills, and Aragorn's will is not small. This is where the ring does its most persuasive work. It produces results that look like salvation. Then the inner shift begins. Aragorn's great strength is kingship as service. The ring would turn it into kingship as management. "I serve my people" becomes, "My people are safest when they obey." The tyranny arrives wearing a healer's cloak. Not because Aragorn wanted to be a dark lord, because the ring taught him that the fastest way to protect people is to remove their right to refuse. Fans often point to Aragorn's triumph over the Palantir as evidence that he could master the ring. Aragorn does take the stone, face Sauron's attention, and walk away with his will intact. But Tolkien stresses that this contest depended partly on right and distance. Aragorn was a rightful user of the stone, and the contest was not Sauron in person. The ring is different. It is Sauron's power made portable. So yes, Aragorn could claim it and wield it enough to reshape the war. But the deeper mastery, the self-to-self contest, is exactly what Tolkien denies to mortals. The Palantir proves Aragorn is strong. The ring would prove what strength becomes when it is given permission. Aragorn's tragedy is just the sharpest version of a mortal pattern. Men are uniquely vulnerable to the ring because men are uniquely hungry for ends. Men die. Men build legacies like they are trying to outrun time itself. The ring whispers exactly what a mortal wants. You can make your mark permanent. That is why Boromir is not a fool in the text. He is a portrait of human desperation under siege. When he looks at the ring, he sees a tool to save Minas Tirith. The ring does not tempt him with ego. It tempts him with responsibility. That is why the temptation is believable. It is deadly. So when people ask, could a strong man wield it? The answer becomes, a strong man is exactly who it is designed to weaponize. The ring targets urgent hearts, the kind of person who will say, "I hate this, but I must." Then it hands them a crown and calls it duty. Letter 246 names the only being Tolkien treats as a plausible Master Sauron contender in a direct contest, Gandalf. That line makes the question burn. If Gandalf could take the ring and win, why not save everyone? Because Tolkien answers that too. Gandalf, as Ring Lord, would be far worse than Sauron. Sauron rules through domination and fear, and you know you are being dominated. Gandalf would rule through good, through order, through an unwavering conviction that his plan is correct, and that your resistance is ignorance that needs correcting. Gandalf hints at this in the narrative itself, when Frodo offers him the ring, and his refusal comes with heat. Do not tempt me. The terror is not that Gandalf becomes evil. The terror is that Gandalf becomes certain, and certainty paired with power turns mercy into management. So if Gandalf wields the ring, Middle-earth gets a victory that feels like salvation and slowly reveals itself as a cage. The wars end, the roads are safe, then the laws tighten like a noose made of light. He will protect you into submission. Galadriel is the fandom's favorite what-if, because Tolkien lets us hear the ring's pitch in gorgeous, terrifying language. She imagines herself with it and says the line that should come with a warning bell, "All shall love me and despair." That sentence is the ring's philosophy condensed. Love as compulsion, despair as the price of perfection. Galadriel's wielding would not be crude conquest first. It would be preservation made absolute. A world where decay is not allowed, where everything is beautiful, where time is held still by authority. Tolkien confirms in letter 246 that she believed she could supplant Sauron if she took the ring, and he sketches the method: empire, absolutely subservient generals and armies, and engines of war, until she could challenge Sauron by force. So yes, Galadriel can wield it. The cost is that she becomes the Dark Lord of perfection, and perfection is a hungry god. Elrond is often treated like the responsible adult of Middle-earth, which makes the idea of Elrond wielding the ring oddly comforting to some viewers. Surely he would keep it tidy. Surely he would set boundaries. Surely he would not become a monster. And that is exactly the problem. Tolkien ties Elrond into the category of credible ring lord candidates by implying that if Galadriel could wield it in the supplant Sauron sense, then so could the other guardians of the three, especially Elrond. Elrond's tyranny would not look like slag and smoke. It would look like perfect administration, civilization rebuilt by someone who has watched the same mistakes for 3,000 years and is no longer willing to let mortals learn naturally. Merciful in intention, suffocating in execution. Tyranny with a gentle voice and a hand on your shoulder that never lets go. If you want a quick simile, Sauron is a wildfire. Elrond with the ring becomes a greenhouse with locked doors. You are alive. You are safe. You are never allowed to leave. Every discussion eventually summons Tom Bombadil like it is a ritual. He is the rare case that looks like a loophole. The ring does not tempt him. It does not even turn him invisible. So why not hand it to Tom and call it a day? Because being immune is not the same as being responsible. Tom does not want a throne, which is why the ring cannot hook him. That makes him safe from corruption, but it also makes him unreliable as a strategy. The fear with Tom is not malice, it is carelessness. The ring survives by slipping into history, and Tom is the kind of being who might lose it the way you lose a button. Tom is the safest hand in the world, and the worst pocket. Now we add one of Tolkien's most underused details from letter 246 because it changes every new Ringlord timeline. Tolkien says that if someone claimed the ringwraiths would not necessarily attack like feral beasts. They would feign obedience and submission, with one goal: keep the new claimant away from Mount Doom until Sauron arrives in person. So if Aragorn claims the ring, imagine the ringwraiths kneeling, not out of love, but out of tactics. It would be intoxicating. Proof that you are meant to rule. Proof that the shortcut was the right road. Proof that the world should stop resisting you and start cooperating. And while the claimant is enjoying that proof, Sauron is moving, because Tolkien's point is that this contest is not won by one heroic scene. It is won by time, and Sauron has been alive long enough to weaponize time like a blade. We cannot ignore Saruman, because he is what happens when control meets an artifact that rewards control. Give him the ring, and he tries to outsmart a curse by reading the small print. Spoiler: the ring wrote the small print. The letter keeps the hierarchy clear by elevating Gandalf as the only one expected to master Sauron self to self. Saruman's attempt either burns half the world as a rival tyrant or ends with Sauron reclaiming his heart in gold with interest. If you like these Tolkien stress tests, where we keep one foot in the text and one foot in the terrible, fascinating what-ifs, subscribe to Fool of a Tube. We bring the receipts, the letters, the book chapter coordinates, and just enough jokes to keep the Nazgul from thinking they run the comment section. Also, if you have a personal theory about who could wield the ring without detonating their soul, drop it below. I will not judge. Tolkien probably will, but I will not. So, was Aragorn wrong in the films? Yes, in the literal sense. None of us can wield it, suggests an absolute impossibility. Tolkien's letter says otherwise, because it names Gandalf as a plausible master of Sauron, and it treats Galadriel and Elrond as credible Ringlord candidates in their own right. That means the ring is wieldable in principle. But Aragorn was right in the practical sense. The Fellowship cannot use the ring without becoming the thing they fear. That is why the Council's ethic is not just noble, it is necessary. We cannot use the ruling ring. Aragorn can wield it enough to win battles, and still meet Tolkien's limit for mortals in Sauron's presence. Gandalf can wield it enough to overthrow Sauron, and still become far worse than Sauron. Galadriel can wield it into a shining empire, and still summarize the emotional truth in a single blade of a sentence: all shall love me and despair. So the question becomes a mirror held up to Middle-earth's soul. Because the ring does not simply ask, "Are you good?" It asks, "Do you believe your goodness gives you the right to rule?" And almost everyone, given enough fear and enough dead friends, eventually answers yes. There is a final distinction Tolkien forces on us. Defeating Sauron by force is one thing. Ending what Sauron is, ending the metaphysical machinery of domination, is another. If someone uses the ring to win, they do not delete the ring's logic. They inherit it. That is why Tolkien's narrative doesn't climax with a great one claiming the ring and using it correctly. It climaxes with small hands failing at the last second, and providence, luck, Eru, call it what you want, using even failure to complete the act of unmaking. Frodo claims it. The ring is mine. Even the purest carrier cannot safely become a wielder. So yes, another could wield it. That is not the hope. That is the warning. The ring is not a weapon that fails to function. It is a weapon that functions too well. It gives you exactly what you want, fast, and then it changes what you are allowed to want. And if you want a clean image to carry into the outro later, Sauron is a throne made of iron. The ring is the idea that a throne is necessary. The only victory Tolkien accepts is not sitting on the throne, but throwing it into fire and letting the world learn, slowly and painfully, to stand without it. So yes, the line from the film is comforting, and it is also too neat. The ring is not a dead artifact that refuses new hands. It is a living argument for dominion, and Tolkien's point is brutal. The people most capable of wielding it are the people most capable of becoming a disaster in velvet. Aragorn can turn war into order. Gandalf can turn order into law. Galadriel can turn beauty into compulsion. Elrond can turn wisdom into a locked door. That is why the story's win condition is not find the right ruler. It is destroy the tool that makes ruling irresistible. So tell me this. If you were at the council and you knew you could win quickly by taking it, would you? Or would you choose the slower victory that lets the world stay truly free? Drop the answer below and subscribe for the next turn.